the Splash Live, Greater West Bloomfield's only local morning show, giving you exclusive access into people, businesses, and events in our community. I'm your host, Maddie Muschin. We are live daily weekdays at 9:30. Before we dive into today's show, every week we highlight someone, an educator, student, business, or organization from Greater West Bloomfield going above and beyond. If you would like to submit an entry for someone, you can scan the QR code on the screen and fill out the Google form with the person's name, their contact information, and reasons they should be recognized for the Person of the Week. Now let's go check out what's going on in our Greater West Bloomfield community. The first event we want to look at is the West Bloomfield Township Public Library and their virtual events. They started this virtual programming for this year. It includes a variety of interactive events for all ages. Some of those events this week are today. They have their 9:30 and 11 a.m. Positively Preschool classes, and they also have those fun events going on. If you would like to register for those, you can do so by going to West Bloomfield Township Public Library and their events calendar page and register by clicking on those events. Our next event we want to look at is West Bloomfield Parks Black History Month event. West Bloomfield Parks is working with the West Bloomfield Diversity Task Force to bring a new free event to celebrate Black History Month in February. Black History 101 Museum, it's open to all ages on Saturday, February 5th from noon until 3 p.m. at the library. Founded by Dr. Khalid Al-Hakim, the Black History 101 Mobile Museum is an award-winning collection of original artifacts of Black memorabilia dating from the transatlantic slave trade era and spanning to current hip-hop culture. They have a special lecture and exhibition at 10 a.m. If you want to register for that, you can do so by going to westbloomfieldparks.com and register on their page there. Our last event we want to look at is the Sylvan Lake Game Nights. This event is perfect if you're looking for something fun to do this winter. Whether you go alone or with friends, the Sylvan Lake Game Nights are a great way to socialize safely with your neighbors and friends. Sylvan Lake Game Nights take place every Wednesday when there is not a Sylvan Lake board meeting in the community center. Game night starts at 5:30 and will go to about 9 p.m. at the community center. This event is open to all Sylvan Lake residents, and you're welcome to bring family and friends. Normally they play mahjong, but they have also begun to play euchre and bridge. You can also bring any games that you would like to play. If you have an event you would like us to feature, you can send us a message on our social media pages at Civic Center TV and Facebook at Civic Center TV 15. Coming up, I will be talking with Steve Kaplan, West Bloomfield Township Supervisor, about their upcoming special Zox Town Hall Meeting. But before that, the pandemic has impacted each person and business differently here in Greater West Bloomfield. And over the past weeks, we have gotten to ask local business owners how the pandemic has specifically affected them. Let's go check out what they had to say. With 2022 in full swing, the pandemic has impacted the local Greater West Bloomfield community for almost 2 years now. We asked local business owners to describe how they have been impacted throughout the pandemic.
Pandemic obviously affected all industries, all professions. It affected chiropractic a little bit differently than every other profession because we're hands-on. There's no working virtually. There's no telehealth. There's no phone it in. We're an in-person, hands-on profession. So when the pandemic first started, we definitely noticed we had to make some changes in how we were sanitizing the office, changes in our flow of patients through the office, limiting the amount of people in at a time. And since things have initially started to go back to normal and now started heading back into the pandemic protocols, we've been seeing a very different type of patient. Where our office was traditionally people with musculoskeletal pain, spinal pain, and then people for maintenance and wellness that wanted to maintain their spinal health, keep the spine healthy proactively. What we've noticed over the last year and a half, 2 years, is a very different type of patients. We've been seeing a lot more kids, a lot more adolescents because they were going to school from home.
Mm-hmm. So we transitioned from being a bricks and mortar store to online during the pandemic, and it gave us an opportunity to be doing a lot of virtual stuff with our customers and being able to still have that personal touch and that personal guidance for accessorizing, but to being able to do it virtually gives us another area to expand to other clientele. A lot of our customers actually in the area moved out of state, so being online gives them quick access for that, and then all our social media with Instagram and Facebook gives us opportunities to be able to reach new opportunities.
I think for most businesses. For us, the event part of our business was in fact shut down for a large portion of 2020, and it's also shown how we've had to change a lot on the plant side of our business too. So I'd say that we're not going to fully know what the shakeup's going to be for a little while further, but it definitely changes the way that we think about investment. It changes on how we deliver products to our customers, and it also changes our assumptions as to what the future might be.
I would say the biggest thing for me is my ability to work with people without being in the same room. I have lots of clients that either are fitness or coaching in some way that we work through virtual. It's still one-on-one. It's very personal. You can be anywhere in the world to do the fitness training. It's safe and wonderful, and it makes a lot of sense for people. That door has been opened and has stayed open since day one of the pandemic, and people are really leveraging the idea of being on the phone or virtual as one other way of getting themselves where they need and want to be on their terms.
We wish those local business owners that have been affected by COVID-19 the best as they head into 2022. Reporting for The Splash Live, I'm Maddie Muschin. Thank you to all those business owners that shared with us their obstacles as they experience the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic. Later on, we'll check out the perfect venue to host your next private event or wedding in West Bloomfield. But before that, we'll be joined by Steve Kaplan, Township Supervisor for West Bloomfield. All that and more after this short break.
We'll be right back with The Splash Live.
This message brought to you by FEMA. Home fires occur most often in winter. Keep anything that can catch fire at least 3 feet from heating equipment. And never use an oven to heat your home. Stay in the kitchen when frying, grilling, or broiling food. Turn space heaters off when you leave the room or go to bed. Make sure all vents are clear of snow and ice to allow carbon monoxide to vent outside. Have your furnace, heating system, and chimneys serviced each year by a qualified professional. Learn more at www.usfa.fema.gov.
Teens a day die from texting and driving. Don't text and drive.
And now, back to The Splash Live.
Welcome back to The Splash Live. I'm your host, Maddie Muschin. It is now time to talk with Steve Kaplan, Township Supervisor for West Bloomfield, about some very exciting updates in the township. Steve, thank you so much for joining me this morning.
Good morning, Maddie. You staying warm?
Oh yes, trying to. Steve, let's start off with giving an update about what is happening in West Bloomfield Township. There was a joint board meeting with West Bloomfield Parks on Monday. Can you start off with telling us a little bit about that meeting and what they talked about there?
Sure. Under state law, a Parks and Recreation Commission has to submit and has to approve a master plan every 5 years and then submit that plan to the state and to the township. It's a quirk of state law, Maddie, that the Parks Commission needs the township board's approval regarding its master plan because they know what they're doing and we hold them in high esteem. As you said, a joint meeting was held on Monday with the 7 Parks Commissioners and the 7 township board members. Very interesting because they shared with us their master plan, which includes the several facets that I think people will like. Number one, the hope is to have a senior center at some point, perhaps on campus. And that could occur. They know more than I do about this, but that could occur in the next 2 to 5 years. Right now at Orchard Mall, in the Connect Room, there is a senior citizen area. But ideally, we have 23% senior citizens residing in West Bloomfield. And to have a senior facility would be wonderful. Maybe pickleball with rooms to play cards, large rooms for speakers. Anyway, the Township Board approved the Parks Commission's master plan 7-0. One of the other ideas they talked about is paving the trails, having more restrooms at parks, and perhaps having a park at the southeast quadrant of West Bloomfield. There aren't any parks in the area near Inkster, Middle Belt, say from 14 Mile to Long Lake Road.
On the topics of meetings in West Bloomfield, Steve, there's a special Zox Town Hall meeting on February 9th. Can you tell us a little bit about that and what will be going on in that meeting?
Yes, approximately 4 months ago, a truck driver delivering materials and supplies and in an effort to construct an addition to a home, drove over the bridge, Greer Road east of Hiller Road, and that bridge is really suitable for up to 15 tons. Well, this truck weighed maybe 25 tons, and it doesn't take a rocket scientist to conclude that that can cause carnage and damage to the bridge, and it did. And we had to close the bridge. It's interesting to note that the Zox subdivision, all the roads are private, and therefore the road commission could not. The road commission owns all roads that are public within a township. This being a township and it's a private road, the road commission doesn't have the jurisdiction to repair the bridge. So it's not the most exciting matter, but there are some consequences. Number one, that bridge has been reduced to 1 lane. Number two, 11 tons is the maximum for a vehicle to traverse over that bridge. And the concern, of course, is, as you can imagine, if there's a major fire in Zox subdivision, will one of our fire trucks be able to traverse over that bridge without crashing into the canal below? Well, the Zox residents are very accommodating. They're very responsive. It's one of the oldest subdivisions in West Bloomfield. And the meeting, as you suggested, on February the 9th, is like a town hall meeting. It's by Zoom. And the township will share with the residents of Zox the issues with the various bridges. There are 13 bridges within the Zox subdivision, and ultimately that bridge will have to be repaired. One could easily say, well, where does the money come from? And it's unfortunate that there are no grants that I know of, and we're not able to pay for it. We can't use taxpayers' dollars to recreate or renovate a bridge in another area of the township or any area of the township when other areas in the township are not receiving similar treatment. But anyway, that meeting, I believe, is at 6 o'clock. Hope I'm right about that. And that's February the 9th. And we hope all the Zox residents can participate and attend.
Steve, you mentioned having those Zox residents on the Zoom call there. Is it open to all residents in the Zox community, as well as can you tell us who from Town Hall will be in that Zoom call?
A good question, Maddie. There will be 3 township board members of the 7. We can't have more than 3. If we do, then it implicates the Open Meetings Act, and the meeting would have to be televised, and so this is a non-televised meeting. But I believe that if a resident outside of Zox wishes to attend, he just can call my office and we'll provide the Zoom link, and certainly that person will be able to attend.
And Steve, as we wrap up, are there any other updates in Town Hall in the township that you wanted to share with us at this time?
I do have some good news to report. Well, it starts off as bad news, where a West Bloomfield resident, his wife calls 911 because her husband was suffering from arrhythmia, and the fire department arrives, and the gentleman had passed out twice and was looking as though he might pass away. The 4 firefighters from West Bloomfield, as you know, our firefighters also are paramedics. And they treated the patient at the home. They transported him to Henry Ford Hospital, and a pacemaker is being installed. I just want to read this one part where he says, if there is any way you can identify these great people, meaning the names of the 4 firefighters, I could tell them how grateful I am. I'm receiving a new pacemaker and defibrillator. Great people, and I'm so appreciative. So, Maddie, I know I sound like a cheerleader for West Bloomfield, but this is not an uncommon response by our firefighters. They arrive to emergencies usually in fewer than 4 minutes, and here another life was saved.
Great, amazing story, and thank you for sharing with us. Obviously, so grateful for all of our police officers and firefighters here in West Bloomfield. So thank you for sharing that with us this morning, Steve.
Thanks, Maddie.
Once again, I was joined by West Bloomfield Township Supervisor Steve Kaplan, sharing us some updates about that Zox Town Hall meeting, as well as an exciting story about those firefighters here in West Bloomfield. Coming up, we'll be talking with Emily Vickers about the new program at West Bloomfield Township Public Library. But before that, if you're looking for a picturesque venue to host your next private event or wedding, Planterra in West Bloomfield is the ideal spot. I got to visit the venue and talk with President of Planterra Corporation, Shane Pliska, about the venue and how you can help plan your next big event with them. West Bloomfield has one of the most spectacular venues for your private events. Located off of Drake Road, Planterra provides the feel of an outdoor space while being warm and comfortable inside their venue. I talked with President of Planterra Corporation, Shane Pliska, about how winter weddings and private events can benefit from choosing Planterra as their venue.
So we are quite well known in our community as a botanical wedding venue. We host weddings on the weekends here in our beautiful botanical environment. Our in-house team of wedding planners, florists, designers, and such do everything. So we're really a one-stop shop where we are an all-inclusive wedding venue, providing most of the services for a wedding here. So in-house, we provide the majority of the planning, the day of coordination. We also assist with the menu as well as the beverage program. We have our, the decor, all the different sources for the decor, everything from the linens to the flatware to the different types of chairs. There's endless design elements that can be incorporated into a wedding here at Planterra.
We also asked Shane what the steps are to planning your floral arrangements with Planterra for your party.
So our floral design process is pretty extensive. So on the planning side, it begins with the couple showing us images of flowers that they like from Pinterest, pretty much, so they create Pinterest mood boards. We then take that inspiration and create a plan. Once the bride and groom or the couple sign off on the plan, we then create a sample. They see the sample in person. And so our in-house flower team does this. And then when it's time for the day or the weekend, our flowers come in direct from either Holland or South America. We process them here in our facility. And what's unique about us is because we do the flowers and the event on site, is we don't have to transport it anywhere else. So quite honestly, our couples get a really great value from a floral perspective from what we do here.
Even during the cold Michigan months, Planterra works to make your event feel cozy and fun. With hardworking, dedicated staff, Planterra is the perfect venue and business to trust with your special event. Reporting from the Splash Live, I'm Maddie Muschin. Thank you again to Shane Pliska for showing us around that beautiful venue off of Drake Road in West Bloomfield. If you want to contact them about hosting a private event or your next wedding, you can contact them at Planterra Corporations. We're going to take a short break, but when we get back, we'll be joined by Emily Vickers from the West Bloomfield Township Public Library to talk about their program to help kids talk about tender topics. So don't go anywhere. After the break, we'll talk with her.
We'll be right back with the Splash Live.
In the face of COVID-19, staying healthy is important. And now the same is true as we face the flu. Influenza has the potential to infect millions, putting lives and the healthcare system at risk. Fortunately, it's easy to protect yourself. The flu vaccine is safe and effective, and with COVID-19 still spreading, it's essential. To see how you can hit this virus head-on, visit michigan.gov/flu.
Can I ask you a question? Why do you want to get the COVID-19 vaccine?
I don't like getting sick. The virus will die. It will be easy to not catch it. keep my family safe, and keep playing soccer. Because I love being vaccinated.
What's your hope for everyone?
I hope everybody gets the vaccine to keep safe and strong. Be like happy, having fun everywhere. Everyone stay safe and hope you get the vaccine.
And now, back to The Splash, live.
Welcome back to The Splash Live. I'm your host, Maddie Muschin. We are now joined by Emily Vickers from the West Bloomfield Township Public Library. Thank you so much for joining us this morning, Emily.
Hi, Maddie. It's nice to be here. Thank you.
Emily, could you start off with explaining your role at the West Bloomfield Township Public Library and give us a little bit of insight into some of your tasks and responsibilities there?
Sure. I am one of the early childhood specialists at the library. I do most of the early childhood programming, which is now virtual, which is a lot of fun. We learned how to do everything virtual with COVID, and it's been different, but really exciting to do things virtual so we can still reach some of the families at home during these times, which has been really cool. I do all of the outreach too, which I learned to do a little bit differently during COVID as well. So instead of going into the schools, I did virtual or did outreach outdoors. So I went to the schools, but we did story time outdoors, which was very cool. So I went to the schools, but we sat on playgrounds and sat in little benches and outside. It was very cool. And then I do some of the parent-teacher collection and a lot of other things that are early childhood related at the library.
Emily, let's talk now about the tender topic kits for the youth residents in West Bloomfield that the library has put together. Can you give us a little bit of insight into what some of those tender topics that you will be talking and explaining to the kids about?
Yeah, so we already had literacy kits at the library, which deal with oral language and a lot of the cool things that go along with language. So we were trying to think of some other things that families might be dealing with at home. So we were thinking about some tender topics that families might need at home, such as divorce or adoption, something that they might need some extra help with. So we wanted to explore some social issues that they might need some more guidance or explanation. So we put together these kits, and I don't know if it will show on my background. I'll hold it up a little bit. They're kind of big, but so there's a little bit. I'll hold up the back, this little thing. It's a little card that goes inside, and inside in all the backpacks are books and toys, realia that might go along with the kit that help explain the social issues that go with some of these things. And it just helps families guide kids and the whole family through a tender topic. And we have the kits, which are divorce, food allergies, hearing impairments, mental health, moving, new siblings, picky eaters, serious illness, vision impairments, and we're constantly going to be adding some more to it. Right now, I'm looking at some topics such as empathy or coping and resilience, and then also like death or bereavement as well.
Emily, I know that you have one of the kits there, and it might not be showing up great on camera, but could you give us an example of maybe what that topic covers for the kit, and maybe give us some examples of what we can see in the kit and how that might help the kids understand those topics?
Yeah, so the one that I have here is adoption. And inside the adoption kit are like 5 books. And the books go about foster families, adoption families, and then a book for adults that talk about how to help adoptive families and how to go through the process of adoption, how to talk to the kids about adoption, how to deal with it internally as an adoptive family, and what to go through, like what to look through the process. I also put in puzzles because every family looks unique. My family looks different than your family. So how families look unique. And then there's also really cool magnetic families because again, all families look unique, where they could put together this 3D families that look all different. And so the the kit is full of different activities that they can build, but there's also books that they can read together as a family. So it builds upon some prior knowledge, but also it's kind of a cool thing that they can think, hey, my family might look different, but the wheels are spinning, but in the same token, it's answering some questions that they may have about adoption in their head.
Emily, when you talk about these kits, how would one go about if they're interested in picking a topic and bringing those home to their residencies? How would one go about finding a kit that is appropriate for the kids that they have in their house and renting those out from the library?
Good question. So they are at the main library. I'm making a few for West Acres as well. So they could come to the library and check them out, but they're also in the catalog, so they could put them on hold, and we can put them on the shelf at the drive up or the hold shelf at the library. But they can also let us know, like, hey, I'm thinking about, come in and say, hey, I've got this situation at home that I was thinking, and we can recommend a kit that may work for them. But also, I think another thing is that kids always have tons of questions about some situation that they may have heard a friend that's going through. So it might not be something that's going on in their own home. It might be something that they heard a friend is going through. Like, hey, I heard my friend's family is going through a divorce, and they might not know what that means. So it might be something that they hear that they have questions about because their friend's going through it. So this kit might be helpful with questions that they have about something that's not going on in their own family, but might be going on with something else that they have questions about. So it's always just helpful. And again, it might not be going on in their own family, but it's just a cool thing for them to play with and understand and read some books that might answer some questions in their everyday life.
And Emily, when we talk about the kids and the residents, especially those parents and guardians that might be interested in these kits, is there a specific age range? Do you have ones for those kids that might be in preschool, middle school, grade school? Are there specific age ranges for the kits? Do you kind of customize those kits based on age ranges, or is there just one kit that a family can rent out?
So the age ranges for most of them are between the ages of 2 and 10. And you can make it as easy and as hard as you need the topic to be. So you can explain it in depth a little bit further for a 10-year-old and kind of make it a little bit easier for a 2-year-old. So for a 2-year-old, they might just put the puzzle pieces together and just think it's fun. And for a 10-year-old, you might have to explain it a little bit further. So that's why I like the tender topic kits, because they give a brief explanation, but it can also go in more in depth for the older kids as well.
Emily, as we wrap up here, we just have about under a minute left. Is there anything else you would like to share with us about these tender topic kits or your position at the library?
Well, I just think these tender topics kits are great. I love all the kits that we make here at the library, but the tender topic kits I think are amazing just because we can constantly build on things that we feel the community might need. And there are always areas to explore, are always areas that we might need social topics. So we're constantly looking for areas that we may need and kids need. So I just think they're amazing topics, and the tender topic kits are always near and dear to my heart. And it's just a great thing that we've built at the library, and I'm really excited about them.
Well, thank you so much for taking time out of your morning and joining us this morning, Emily.
Thank you, Maddie. It's been great to be here.
Once again, I was joined by Emily Vickers from the West Bloomfield Township Public Library talking about those tender topic kits that you can rent out. That's it for today's show. Thank you to Steve Kaplan and Emily Vickers for joining us this morning, and a special thanks to our Zoom producer, Jared Clark, for coordinating the Zoom and making sure our guests joined us. As always, thank you to Calvin Brown, our board operator, for making the show possible each and every morning. And thank you for joining me as we explore the people and events going on in our greater West Bloomfield community. As always, you can tune in live on Civic Center TV on Comcast Channel 15 and AT&T Channel 99 Monday through Friday at 9:30 to catch up up on what's going on in our greater West Bloomfield community. You can also check out any of our archived stories and interviews by visiting civiccentertv.com. For all of our friends in Orchard Lake, Sylvan Lake, Kiko Harbor, and West Bloomfield, I'm Maddie Muschin. Thank you for watching The Splash Live.